What's going on, guys? My name is Lieben, and today I'm going to be adjusting the e-brake on my 350Z. So I thought, since I was adjusting it, might as well go ahead and get new brake pads for the e-brake as well. So as you guys can see, I've already taken off the wheel, so now we're going to go ahead and get started. Oh, and another thing, I am doing it outside, and one of my neighbors is currently cutting their yard, so I apologize if it's too noisy. So to be able to take off the brake shoes for the handbrake, first I'm going to have to go ahead and take the rotor off. So I'm going to go ahead and start by removing the brake caliper. So I went ahead and put PV blaster on the 4 bolts here, as well as the threads right here too. So hopefully once we get to the point, it makes it easier for it to slide out. Alright, so first I'm going to go ahead and take off the caliper itself and then the assembly right here. So first for the caliper, it's going to be 2 bolts. It's going to be this one here and then right here, this one in the bottom. Alright, now they should be able to come off now. Alright, now to take the other ones off. Alright guys, now with all of this taken off, hopefully the rotor should come off now. One thing to remember too is make sure you take off your handbrake, or else it would be probably like impossible to take this off, which I had forgotten to do. Alright, so the rotor seems to be, yeah, it's stuck on here pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and get a rubber mallet, see if I can hit it to loosen it up a bit. And just like that, it's off. Alright, so how I'm gonna go ahead and take off these pads is gonna be by, I keep on saying pads, sorry, these are brake shoes. I'm gonna go ahead and take off these brake shoes is first by disconnecting this retainer here, then removing this retainer as well, and then lastly there should be this little small one back here. So in all, there's going to be 3 things I have to go ahead and remove, and that's going to go ahead and detach the brake shoes. So I got the first retainer off, and actually what seemed to have helped was right here regulating them and bringing the pads themselves closer. That made it easier for me to be able to stretch this apart and take it off. So now I'm going to go ahead and continue with the bottom one. Alright, and here is the pin that was holding it in place as well. And this piece right here, like I said, this is what regulates it. And when this goes out like that, it pushes the brake pads out, and this right here pushes the brake pads in. And there we go. There's that brake pad off. Now I'm going to continue taking this one off. Here is the bottom retainer. Here is the other supporter and the other brake pad. Something I should have done prior to taking these off probably would have been a good idea, to make sure that the ones I bought were exactly the same as these ones, which, as you guys can see, they're pretty spot on. So the good thing is that I didn't do all this work for nothing. But now we're gonna go ahead and put the new ones back on. Alright guys, so as you can see, these right here are the pins. That is the hole right there. Basically how it goes, it slides in like that, and then you either turn it either way so that then it hooks in like that, and then it gets stuck. So about 20 minutes later and a bunch of cuts later, I was able to finally put everything back together. So there is the top spring with the regulator here. Then we have the pins that hold it together there. Then down here is the last spring that took me forever to put it on there, and I kept on slicing my fingers when it would slip off of the tool here that I was using to pull it back. But I was able to get it put back together. So now it's basically putting back on the rotors. I'm gonna go ahead and clean the pads off the rotors and then put the calipers back on it, and that should be it. Oh, and I almost forgot. I'm actually going to go ahead and test the handbrake, make sure everything's good before putting everything back together, because the last thing I want to do is put everything back together and then find out that something wasn't done right. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Another thing you want to be careful of is when you're putting the rotor back is adjusting the shoes. Go ahead and show you guys here. So right now, when I had put it barely on there, it was too far out, so the rotor didn't want to go ahead and fit in, so I went ahead and adjusted that, and now it seems to be fitting a lot more smoother. As you can see, it doesn't feel too loose either. It feels like just like snug on there, and that's pretty much how you want to have it on there. Alright, and as you guys can see, everything's put back together. The last thing to do is basically just clean off the rotor there, any grease. Besides that, then I'll go ahead and do the other side, but the other side's pretty much the same, so there's no point in me really much showing you guys the same thing twice. But that's pretty much it, guys. I'll go ahead and see you guys in the next one.